Hi everyone, it's Misty here from The Joyful Elf. Happy Friday. Welcome to another card for TLC Designs. If you're unfamiliar, I am a brand ambassador for TLC and I post videos twice a month here on my channel. In one of these videos, there will be a $25 gift certificate giveaway, so make sure you either answer the question of the day, if there is one, or leave a comment on both videos. That way you have an opportunity to win. It is open international, so if you're someone who's international, feel free, and I'm going to leave this up for 7 days. So it will... the giveaway will end on the next Friday, and then at the end of the month, I will announce all the winners. Okay, so today's card, we're making an Olympic card. So I had this idea when I was looking at the bubbles and togas. My husband watches sport. I just call it sport because he watches all the sports. And he's been watching the Olympic trials for people who are going to make the Olympic team, because the Olympics are later in the month of July. And the spring thing reminded me of the vault. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then one of the other images reminds me of like the balance beam for the girls, for the women, I should say. So today we are making an Olympic themed card. So let's head over to my craft table and we'll get started. So we are going to start with the rings. I'm going to have all of the supplies linked down below because my memory is awful. But this is the I believe it's Aztec Sunshine. I'm using the smaller of the two circles, and then just a circle die for my stash so I can make a ring. And I'm going to cut it out of glitter paper for all 5 of the colors for the Olympic rings. So it's like black, yellow, green, red, and blue. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of paper and I'm going to ink blend candied apple on one end and then salty ocean on the other, because I wanted this to be red, white, and blue. And that was probably the easiest way to do that. And then this is a bit bigger of a slimline card than what I normally do. Normally I do a 3.5 by 8.5, but this is actually 4 by 9.25. So it's a bit bigger, and I had to do that because of the circles. So once that's done, I'm just cleaning that up with a baby wipe, and I'm going to put that away. And then I'm going to place the rings. I'm going to go ahead and cut them so I can overlap them. This took a little bit longer than planned. There you can see me looking at the rings. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what color? And I kept going back and forth. That way I could know which one I needed to cut. So you can just see me cutting here, and then I'm just linking the rings together. I'm going to adhere them together first with glue dots, and then I'm going to flip it over and add more glue dots. Hopefully that makes sense. But you can see that they're cut, and I'm just making sure that it's over under. This is probably not necessary because I don't know if anybody's going to pay that close of attention, but I know that the Olympics are very important to a lot of different people, and a lot of people work really hard to get into the Olympics, and I wanted to be respectful to that. So that is why I spent so much time on these rings, and then making sure I got them placed correctly. And like I said, I'm adhering the cut ones with glue dots, and that way I can kind of place them where I want them. And then I'm going to flip them over and add more glue dots to attach them. And this didn't take quite as long as you would think, but once I figured it out, it went pretty quickly. So here you can see me adding just one more glue dot, and that gets that adhered, and we're ready to move on. I could have left it like this, like seriously, and then just put the images on top, but I wanted the images to stand out just a little bit, and you'll see what we do in just a couple of minutes. Well, if you saw the thumbnail, you probably saw what it did. If you don't use glue dots, I don't know how I craft without them. I was out of them for a little bit, and I'm like, how did I even manage to craft without glue dots? Because they're an important part of just me getting things adhered, especially if I am like trying to do little images, etc. So my tape runner had died, so I had to bring it back in. So now we're going to do some stamping. So I am going to stamp the I just lost my brain. There are 2 images from Troll Cricket Fun and the other one from Bubbles, Togas and Bubbles, Bubbles and Togas. Again, my memory is awful. I will have them linked in the description box down below. I need to start writing this down. Misty, future Misty, start writing stuff down so you know what you're doing. I know it when I see it, but it's before then that I forget. I have a lot of stamps, y'all. I have a lot of stamps. So I'm going to be stamping these images with Gina K because I am going to be Copic coloring them, and then I'm going to be doing, I hand cut them out. I wanted to make sure that I did a variety of ethnicities, like skin tones and hair color. So I'm going to have a Caucasian, I'm going to have one that could be Hispanic, Latin, etc. And then one that is meant to be Simone Biles. So I'm just bringing in a micron pen and I am adding lines on the one that looks like he's upside down. That way it looks more like a tank top than it does a just a naked body. I will remember to insert the colors I used at the end. So if you're interested in that, you can feel free to check it out. So this was pretty simple coloring. I used 3. I start with my darkest and then I move to my lightest. And yeah, that's really it. That's how I love to color. Here you can see me testing my colors out. I do that kind of often. In fact, Rob's always like, is this a piece of paper that you need to keep? And I'm like, I should probably start keeping them and like keeping track of my favorite blends, but put it on the list, right? So don't forget to answer the question of the day. I guess the question of the day is, what's your favorite Olympic sport? So it doesn't have to be the summer, it could be winter. But I'm interested to know what your favorite sport is. Mine is not favorite, but this is like every time Rob turns on the Olympic channel, they're running the steeplechase. And I'm like, okay, so clearly I always think of the steeplechase, which I had never heard of before in my life. And if you haven't seen it, they run and they jump over hurdles. They jump through the water. I don't know why it's called a steeplechase, but it's really interesting to watch. And I'm like, how are they running with wet shoes? Like, how do they not get a blister? So yeah. And like I said, my husband, he's now it's the Tour de France. He likes watching the Tour de France. So we've been watching that too. And then we've also he stumbled upon a show here on YouTube called Second Empire Strikes Back. And Second Empire is my most favorite architecture ever. It's so beautiful. And so this couple in St. Louis, they bought a Second Empire house, and it's them literally showing how they fix it up. So if you are interested in something like that, like home improvement, etc., make sure you check that out. For the hair, I'm keeping it kind of simple. I am making sure that the lightest is just in the middle of the hair. I'm not too concerned about the direction of the light, any of those things. I just like to make sure that there's contrast. And again, I will have all of the colors that I'm using not linked. They'll be in a picture at the end of the video. So this is the Hex Chart by Sandy Allnock. If you are someone who likes to Copic color, I would highly suggest you pick this up because it gives you an idea of what colors are close to one another, and it makes it a bit easier to pick colors. So I love it. And it's so funny how many of these, like there are several E's that are the same color as like some YRs. And I've mentioned before, I wish Copic would extend their purples because I just don't feel like I can get a really pretty purple from what they have going on. But anyway, so this dude, I'm just doing darkest to lightest. I probably should have done this backwards. Well, no, it still works. Okay, it's going to be upside down. At the end of the day, are you guys really paying that close of attention what the hair looks like? I don't think so. So for this card, I didn't put a sentiment on it because if you know me and you watch me, you know that I'm not one to always put sentiments, but I thought of a couple. So like one of them could be have a gold medal birthday. Another one could be like your your love is a gold medal. I don't know. I'm sure you can search Olympic sentiments and find some, but I think this would make a really cute birthday card or something, etc. So I had to have Rob buy me a pack of fine tip marker, ultra fine Sharpies because I didn't have them. So I'm using the red and the blue ones to write USA on each of their shirts. That way they look like uniforms. And then I am using their skin color for their little booties because gymnasts almost always wear socks that are nude for them. They're nude, so that's why I did that. Rob hates the gymnastics. I enjoy gymnastics. I love it. I just enjoy it. And there's I think there's at least one gymnast, a male gymnast from OU. And if you guys didn't know, I went to the University of Oklahoma, so I'm an alumni. So yeah, really, that's really fun. So now I'm going to cut those out and we're going to get this adhered. So I brought in the double die and I took the second, like the middle circle, because I wanted to use that as a ring. So the girl is going to be on a balance beam. I'm going to bring in the rounded rectangle from the birthday celebration, and I'm going to cut out a piece of craft cardstock, and then I'm going to cut that piece of cardstock in half to work as her balance beam. And then for the guy in the middle, those circles are going to go and be rings. So I'm going to bring in a piece of red embroidery floss. And yeah, you guys, I am so like, I love when an idea happens and then I can put it together. So these are the two strings that I'm using. I really wanted these to stand out. Rob said they're normally not red. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is my Olympics and they are going to be red. So I'm going to use glue dots to attach to the ring. And then I'm going to use glue dots on the front of his hand to attach, not the front, the back of his hands to attach them together. And he's going to be upside down. So if you're unfamiliar, the rings are just a man. The men only do the rings. But that's basically they hang off rings from the ceiling or whatever. And they do, some flips and they hold themselves, at a like pike position or something. It's amazing. And it's amazing how big the gymnasts are, like in their shoulders. They have huge shoulders, just like the swimmers do too. And that's another one I like to watch. I don't love all of the sports. Like Rob watches, like I said, he watches sport. Every sport. We watch every sport. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and adhere him down with some of the Scotch mounting foam. So they're all three are going to be popped up at some level. Or maybe it's just him because of the rings. I can't remember. I literally just took a picture of this card. You figure I would remember. Well, we'll see it together. And then this is just a little bowl where I like to keep my scraps. So he's going to be in the middle. So he is where we're starting. And then I'm just going to pull those over. I'm going to adhere them with glue dots. And then we'll cut off the excess. So if you need glue dots, I like to do the mini glue dots that are on a roll. But you can also buy them where they are on a flat piece of paper. And they also make dispensers. And here I slowed this down so you could see what I'm actually doing. So I'm putting it on the back of the vellum, and then I'm going to cut it off and trim it. I'm going to try to keep them kind of close together. Just like that. How cute. And I think his hair works perfectly for this. I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. So now it's time to adhere the balance beam, and that's going to go on the bottom left. And then I'm going to trim it off a little bit once I get that adhered. And I'm just going to adhere this flat. And just cut off the excess with my scissors. Isn't she so cute? She's just so cute. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the spring, and then the boy jumping off the spring. And again, I thought this looked like the vault. So that's where this idea came from. And I love when an idea works out. Like, thank you very much. And I am putting glue dots where it would be a little hard to run the tape runner. So that's what you see me doing here. Once I get them adhered, I want to make a frame. And this is partly to like frame it, but it's also so I can hide the adhesive behind it. So I have cut down a piece of red cardstock to 4¼ by 11. No, 4.5 by 11. And this is the largest stitched rectangle die from Pink and Maine. So I'm going to use that to cut out the center. So that's going to be the frame part. And then I am going to bring in the card to measure where I need to cut it. So I thought this would be a bit easier than me trying to cut the center out of cardstock. I've never been able to do that successfully. So this is my cheater method right here. And you can see how perfectly it's going to fit. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to use a pencil to mark it. And then I'm going to bring my trimmer in to cut on those lines. And once I do that, I'm going to get this adhered. And I'm going to be using the Scotch adhesive again. And you can see me here just cutting it in really long strips. This needs to be popped up because of the rings. The thread for the rings. If you'd use just like one little piece of thread, it wouldn't be an issue, but this is like a bundle of thread, so, or floss, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to pop this up. And I am just cutting thin strips of this Scotch adhesive, and then we're going to get this adhered. I get mine off Amazon. And when I have something big like this, it's absolutely perfect. That way I'm not trying to cut 900 little squares. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some tear and tape, score tape. There's too many scores. It's the same thing. I'm doing this because I didn't want to risk running tape runner and seeing the adhesive through the vellum. And plus I wanted something a little bit stronger because at the top and the bottom, this is going to touch the glitter paper. And sometimes you really want a strong adhesive when you're going to do that. So I just burnished it down and now I'm trying to use my fingernails to lift it up. That's always the hardest part for me, is just trying to lift it up. So I made sure that it was cut correctly, and then I just put it down and covered it just like that. So I had some stars left over from the card I made with Anthony last month, and I went ahead and put those on. I have lost this die. Rob and I have both spent 2 hours in this craft room trying to find this die. I have no idea where it went. The whole die set, not just the little stars, the entire die set is missing. I don't know where it went. So anyway, once I get those adhered, that's going to be it. That's it for this card. That's it for this video for TLC. Again, I will have everything linked in the comments down, not in the comments, in the description box down below, so you can head over there and try it out. And again, don't forget to answer the question of the day for your chance to win a $25 gift certificate to TLC. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.